Trump Kim Part 2 could shake up the world. New York Times op-ed. They argue in the piece, basically, like, let's do more summit diplomacy with North Korea. We need to be providing some measure of sanctions relief to North Korea, normalize diplomatic relations with North Korea, and we ought to try and get to peace. Yes, declare a peace treaty, declare peace and then sign a peace treaty, right? The Korean War has been, frozen this whole time. This is not a new argument, not just me, but like lots of people have been arguing, especially in the 2017, 2018, 2019 timeframe. Whenever Trump was first doing the summits with Kim Jong-un, all the sane people were arguing for some package of like diplomatic normalization and sanctions relief and peace treaty. And like my personal critique of Trump during that time, I think sometimes I got misinterpreted by people, but like I was opposed to the way Trump was doing the summit diplomacy. I was not opposed to summit diplomacy per se. I was not opposed to negotiations for sure. I was a big fan of negotiations, but I had argued from the beginning that like you're not going to get North Korea to do anything meaningful to bridle its nuclear capabilities if you don't provide it material incentives, like real material incentives that offset the risks that it's taking in effectively weakening itself. That, and the thing that they're demanding above all is sanctions relief. And it just so happens that our sanctions regime on North Korea has brutalized the North Korean people. Yes, the regime itself is probably brutalizes its people, but does that give us a right to also brutalize its people? Fucking no. So to critique U.S. policy or to critique the U.S. is not to validate or vindicate the other guys. Like, everybody's doing bad shit. All of our governments seemingly are doing bad shit. If you want material concessions from North Korea, you have to put material things on the table that are of commensurate value or greater value, right? Sanctions relief is clearly the starting point for that. So this argument in the New York Times there's not one word in it that's new, except about the terms of like making peace with North Korea. And I support all that, right? The thing that's new in this piece is an idea that I had in 2019 that I shelved. I didn't want to speak it out loud because when I thought about it, it seemed pretty grim. Why would an Uber hawk on China be for peace with North Korea? Well, in the piece, they more or less make it clear that if we befriend North Korea, we create a kind of enemy or an antagonist on China's border. Like, we can use the North Korea card against China in a way, and we can give North Korea options to rely less on China. North Koreans and Chinese do not get along already. The two governments, they're like strategically aligned, but very reluctantly. Like, they fucking distrust each other. They don't like each other. The idea of flipping North Korea to be kind of on our side on the chessboard was something that I had contemplated seriously, and behind closed doors, I had actually advocated that. I just had not advocated it publicly. And I think there's a kind of Kissingerian cleverness to that. The problem that I have, why I didn't go public with this, is if you're making peace in Korea in order to heighten rivalry with China and geopolitical competition, you're subordinating peace in Korea to a larger conflict. Korea needs peace on its own terms, first of all. And the ultimate nightmare in foreign policy that subsumes all other nightmares is great power rivalry. That's the thing we have to unfuck above all else. And we're not going to do that if we're making peace in North Korea with North Korea as a way to get there. Some people are cheering this op-ed, other people are critiquing it. I'm sympathetic to it, but I don't think it's new, except that I think there's a newly available logic of using North Korea against China. And I think that's probably correct, but I don't think that's a good thing to do. I think doing that means we're probably not going to pursue a new détente with China, and the world needs a Sino-US détente, kind of like more than ever.